Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Prepper Chicks After Dark. I'm taking by your response in the chat room tonight that y'all like the new bumper we have. That's awesome. Well, let's get on with this then. We got a good roll going on here, so let's continue on. So welcome to Prepper Chicks After Dark. We are here to play some Conflicted, the survival card game. And what is that? It's a deck of cards that's scenario-based. We're going to talk about some down-grid situations, maybe some real-life situations out there, and what we would do in response to what's going on around us. So let's get rolling, and welcome back to the show. The creator of the card game itself, JD, welcome back.
Laurie, thanks for having me back. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you for being here. Why don't you let everybody know how to find you, how you got started, what's going on, all that stuff.
All right, I'm JD with Survivalogics. We published Conflicted, the first survival card game for preppers and survivalists. Very simple game. There's a scenario that will put your morals versus your will to live, and you get to choose. And it sounds easy when you read the scenarios on your own, but when you get 4 or 5 people in the round table and you start debating the scenarios, you can get pretty crazy.
Yeah, it can. I've got into some arguments with my husband over them.
Oh, trust me, I've gotten into plenty. It was mine.
You got a husband?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I just learned that. Let's move
with
on.
My wife.
Let's move on now. So, welcome back to the show. Alika, how are you doing tonight? Alika?
He passed out.
It's all the alcohol.
Yeah, that's actually kind of true. No, I had it on mute.
Welcome back, Alika. Always a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. I rep www.shtfready.com. We are a prepping survivalist website. We share ideas and we help each other learn and prepare. We keep the tinfoil hat people out and we focus on the prepping and all aspects surrounding it. We all heard of the ant and the grasshopper story. We teach you to be the ant.
Awesomeness. I love that. First of our 2 authors on tonight, so we know we'll have a little twist going on, I'm sure. Chris, welcome back to the show.
He's drinking too.
Or peeing.
One or the other.
Chris, dude, where are you? Anybody? Alrighty, so our second author on the show tonight is one of my favorite authors, and so welcome back to Michael Hoff.
He's typing.
Hi, Laurie. Can you hear me?
You both came on at once. Yes.
Yeah, my mic just cut out or something. That was weird. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, let's back up then. And Chris, welcome back to the show.
Yeah. Okay, so I was
you
talking
just
to
wanted
myself.
all of his intro, didn't you?
Yeah, and I was talking crap about JD and Alika and nobody heard me, so, good times. Anyway, Chris, with AEseries.com, my series is about, surviving the apocalypse and rebuilding civilization, kind of starting over and, taking it and using it, for their advantage, basically. So AEseries.com, I'll throw the links in there and go from there.
Awesome. Thank you. And last but not least, one of my favorite authors is, G. Michael Hoff. Welcome back to the show.
Hi, Laurie. Hi, guys. How you doing?
Thanks for coming back. I know you were here last week and we had some technical glitches and wanted to get you back because you're always a plethora of information.
Or is it, what did you say earlier? I'm long-winded?
Yes, yeah.
Hey, you guys can't squeal on me like that. What happens in the chat room stays in the chat room.
No.
Oh, well, we won't go there.
It's just like JD confessing his husband online. That's not staying in the chat room.
The NSA is gonna edit this and use it against me. I know it.
We should say hi to them, because they join us every week. So.
Yeah. Welcome, NSA. Great to have you.
Definitely. They do so hard to listen in, so you gotta give a shout out.
All right, guys. You ready to rock and roll?
Do it.
All right.
Yes.
So, JD, you got a a second deck out now. You going to warm us up with a new card?
Yes, and this deck here went on pre-sale last week, and it's going to start shipping this Friday. So
Woohoo!
we're almost there. So if you want a deck, go to conflictedgame.com/prepperchicks and get it, and we'll send you one starting Friday. All right, here we go. This one is a very interesting card. Actually, my business partner came up with this one. And here we go. A local law enforcement officer wants to join your group after the collapse. He's infamous in your community for serving his own kind of justice, and he's very unlikable and very untrustworthy. He threatens to label your group a terrorist cell and expose you and your group if he is denied admission. Would you allow him to join your group knowing that he would try to take it over? Or would you take the chance with this threat? How would you handle this situation? So you have a guy that's trying to force his way into your group, or he's going to make a lot of problems for you if you'll say no. How would you handle this? G. Michael, let's go with you. Let's throw you into the fire first.
The first part of it, is it it's a down-grid scenario, post-apocalyptic scenario, or?
Yes, it is.
So who exactly is he going to report you to?
The local government. There's going to be, on the ground down-grid scenario, there's going to be government around. They're preparing for it anyway. So, they should be around.
I would not let the guy in, and risk it. The thing is, I don't know how much influence he would actually have if he's wanting to join, say, our group or a group that's not affiliated with, whatever law enforcement, because you're saying there's government. So if there's government, there's some kind of law enforcement / paramilitary or military organization. If he's not willing to go with them, but wants to go with, say, my group, I'd have to ask why he'd want to do that. And then if he would, that means he doesn't have that kind of influence or leverage that I think I would be concerned about, so I wouldn't let him in.
Even if he threatens to expose you?
It's his word against mine. And again, it sounds like he's kind of a lone wolf. It's only him by himself wanting to come in. Right?
Yeah.
So I'd have to question his leverage or his trustworthiness even with law enforcement. Why hasn't he gone with them? Why hasn't he gone to join up with forces of whatever government's left over? See, and if he's such a bad egg, you don't want that kind of. I wouldn't want that individual in my ranks. So I would take the risk.
You take the risk of being ratted out later.
Well, I'm not being ratted out. He's making it up. Or unless you're saying I am operating a terrorist organization.
Well,
you would though. You would operate a terrorist organization.
Well, who knows what can happen, and who knows if this happens, what we all are going to be labeled in the future. I know some news this week that the National Guard in Ohio was training for how to counter right-wing terrorism, people who don't agree with government ideals. So who knows when there is a downgrade scenario or a collapse, who knows what you're going to be labeled. Anyways.
I guess the question I just have to ask the question, I would ask him, why does he want to join us? Why doesn't he go to join the forces of the government that's still in existence? I have to throw that back at you. I mean, why would he want to join us?
He just wants in, and he says, either you give me access to your group and what you have, or I'm going to label you a terrorist and rat you out.
Well, maybe he has to go sleep at the fishes then.
who has a different answer that maybe would diffuse the situation a different way? If there is somebody who's trying to force their way into your group, or they'll rat you out. Alika, how would you handle this?
Well, on this scenario, I mean, he's no different than trying to invade my compound by force. If he's coming in by himself, stating that, let me in, or otherwise I'm going to tell on you. Him and one army, and if for some reason he did have an army, I'm not going to let him go back and say, hey, these guys are not letting me in. He's displaying hostile force. I would take him out, plain and simple. There's just no other way around it. And like G. Michael said, I mean, what makes my compound so desirable? Why doesn't he go with his own people? Why doesn't he? Why is he bothering me? Overall, he just doesn't make sense, and I think it would just be easier to take him out and save my compound the headache.
Interesting. And Chris, I have a feeling I know what your answer is going to be.
Don't judge me. You don't know. You don't know what I'm going to say.
Eat him.
Okay, Lori, I was going to say eat him. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, yeah, obviously, if he's a threat and, well, it's like Gene Michael said, if he's bogus in the first place, which it sounds like he'd be bogus in the first place, and he's really just trying to pretty much invade your space, kick him out of your bubble, if by force if necessary. There's no room for some nobody to be coming and taking over the show in my scenario. I mean, not in my world. So, you tell him to take a hike or you put him on a hike, one of the two. So, I think that one's an easy one.
How about you, Laurie?
Well, you mentioned he had his own kind of justice, so I could take that one of two ways. Either he was a pure dickhead and he just needs shot on sight, and I have plenty of shovels and lime to take care of that issue afterwards quietly. But if you mention that because he's one, there's some law enforcement out there that understand and see what's going on the same way that we do, and they're acting accordingly. You just need to understand that. If he chooses not to go with the local law because possibly they have been infiltrated by, say, the UN or something like that, then I could understand that. And if he's looking to come take over my group, that would be a whole nother issue, though. And again, that would be a quiet conversation in the deep, dark woods.
Interesting. I would go about it a different way. I would let him in, not all the way in, but I would give a way to earn a way in, and then try to use him. I think if he's a local law enforcement guy.
Would you trust him?
No, I would send him on an errand and see how loyal he is.
An errand. What are you gonna have him do? Go pick flowers?
Pick up his laundry.
You get my dry cleaning? Thanks, bro. Appreciate it.
Pick flowers for Chris's grave.
Oh.
But if he's got an agenda and he wants to take over your group, he's gonna be as loyal as a motherfucker until he has to.
Yeah, I would say, hey, go back to the city and see what kind of information you have. You gotta kind of earn your way in and kind of play him that way. Try to get from him as much info as I could, and then see how much of the group I'll expose to him, depending on what he says. And I always trusting with verification. You know, if all the information he's feeding us is bogus, and he's trying to maybe infiltrate it, so to kind of feed information the other way, then we're going to have a barbecue. But
well, wouldn't it be important to know how loyal your own people were to your group, to their own group?
Yeah, absolutely.
He might be a rabble rouser and get your own people against you.
That's why I wouldn't even take the chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Lori. If he already comes with a reputation, then why take the chance?
And it would depend on that reputation. Like I said, if he doesn't want to join the local law because they have joined forces with, an outside source that has invaded our country, I could understand that. Yeah.
Interesting. So I would just
give me a look when I said the real terrorists.
Well, I would not full-blown expose the group to him. I would just, his first line of contact can just be me. Well, until I have enough information to make a decision. I think a guy who is a local law enforcement that's well known could be used, for your advantage.
Well, JD,
right? If you have something he wants and.
You bring up a good question. How would you bring someone into your group that you don't know? That might be harmless. Let's say they legitimately, are a good person and you want to bring them into your group. How would you go about doing that?
That is actually, we have a similar scenario like that, on our deck. How would you, if somebody comes in asking how they can earn their way in, it goes along those lines. And I think if you keep turning people away, it's not very wise. You kind of, eventually, even if you have a completely perfect bug out place with it's sustainable everything, and living in your own little world, either your own little world is going to be too good and other people are going to try to take it over, or you're going to run out of stuff. So I think you got to start trading with people. The more sustainable groups out there that can sustain themselves, the better off everybody is going to be, because then people are not going to go looking to take over other people's stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, that does, because it's like you said, you can have the best little bug out place in the world, but eventually you're going to run out of stuff. And so you either have to, learn to trust people, or you have to accept people to make it big enough that you can do the foraging and, finding things and finding supplies and adding people to do the work. And, you're never going to grow. Like if you're stagnant and you're not growing, you're dying, as far as I'm concerned.
And adding new skills. What if you don't have a physician in your group?
Yeah, exactly. You have to learn to trust people to some extent, like in my books, there's like an interview process kind of thing. Like they get their background story and they write it down and they make a little roster and, I think that's how I would play it in the real world is, let me hear your story. How did you get here? What happened? What did you encounter? Cause you can flesh out BS by digging and digging and digging and digging. So I think that's what I would do.
Alika?
Yes.
How would you go about implementing somebody into your group?
Same lines as Chris. I mean, interview them, see what they can offer and, to the group. I mean, I'm sure you would come across a couple of BSers, liars. I mean, they would prove themselves when the time came, but, really you would have to take the word and put some trust into people when they come in saying that, hey, I can give this to your group and help you guys succeed.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Interesting. But what specifically you'd look for skills that your group currently doesn't have? I can understand saying, hey, if you want a slice of the pie, bring something to make the pie bigger. But what if somebody has nothing? Is there anything they can offer you? Any task you can give them so that they can join you? Michael, how would what would be your answer to somebody if they wanted to join your group but they had nothing to offer? They hey, tell me what you need, and so I can prove my way in. But I got the clothes on my back, and that's it.
Well, yeah, I'm going to go along the line of what Chris said. As far as I would have an interview process to go through. At the same time, it's kind of that you do have to trust people, but you also have to verify. It's an old Reagan quote: "Trust but verify." So, and the verification is essentially just keeping an eye on them. I think. And I'm going to answer you a little bit in a second, but I just wanted to add to it, and that is, you kind of have to sequester them a little bit, meaning that they don't have full access to everything. They can't just go into anything you might, you just can't go into a storeroom you might have. They can't access certain things. Over time, she watched them. But if it's just somebody just, strolls in, you can go in all kinds of different directions with that. It depends on how much food you have left. If you have an abundance of food for years for your group, well, then you can take someone in and use them as security or as labor. Because you can always do more. You can always dig more ditches somewhere. But if you're, and then I'd be a little bit more apt to allow people in even without some kind of specific skill set. But if then you have limited resources, what you could do is you can make sure that then they are kind of a point person on going out and foraging. They can kind of get what they can find. They get to keep what they kill kind of thing or somewhere along that line. But you do have to trust people to a certain extent. You do want to, expand your numbers, because, the marauders are going to be doing that. They're going to be expanding their numbers, that are out there kind of canvassing the countryside looking for what you might have. So there is a certain sense of safety in numbers. But a lot of it depends, how much, what's the situation that's going on? What kind of supplies do you have? And then there's different answers for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one thing that, an idea that came to my mind, and some people are probably already doing this, if you have a compound and you plan on having some people there to man it, a good idea would be to have like a holding area, not a holding cell where you just keep people, but just a holding area where kind of people can prove themselves there to go deeper.
It's like a stage 1 camp kind of thing.
Yeah, something like that, that they give them some kind of comfort, but there is a way there that they can earn your
church
trust.
Compound.
Well, you might be able to have them shadow another party in the group, like if it's a family or something like that, they would shadow another family, that volunteers or, attach someone to them that they have to be responsible for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think having a holding area would be cool.
Well, the other thing that I did in my books is that every single person, regardless of who they are or what they do, is required to be armed and carry some kind of sidearm. And I think just having everybody being armed will also not necessarily prevent, but help, not make, people aren't going to do bad things when other people with guns are watching them. I think it's kind of like a preventative thing,
Right.
like if you know that everybody's watching everybody and everybody's armed, I think that's a preventative measure to make people think twice about,
How long
huge kind of thing.
How long or what would have to happen in order for you to give the new people a firearm?
Well, see, is
there a graduation process out of this?
Well, the graduation process was the quote interview process, do the digging, do the conversations, and then like I said, the segregation to the step 1 camp where all my new people were in this camp, not the main headquarters camp. And so everybody down there was kind of new, and they all still had guns, but everybody down there was kind of new, and the only time they come to the main headquarters camp is for meetings and grub and that kind of thing. So there is, I think, is a 2-stage thing, kind of segregating them off, like all the new people go here, and then having all the new people still armed and everything, watching each other because they know that they're new people.
What if they don't work out? How do you get them out of there? Do you take them out? I mean, do you blindfold them and drive them far off like they did in Walking Dead?
Well, in mine, you probably just feed them to the zombies, but I don't know what happened. He got shot in the knee, and then the zombies got him, and,
That's why you want a stage 1 camp.
Shane him. That is why you shame him. That is exactly right.
No, that's why you want a stage 1 camp, because then the person they should be able to prove themselves either to stay or to move along, because then if they have to move along, they don't know critical information about your...
They still know your location.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they showed up there in the first place.
Yeah, but at the same time, all of your other people in stage 1 camp, they're gonna be busting their ass and they're gonna be doing their thing to prove themselves, and they're not gonna let, new Joe Blow ruin their shot to get to, whatever the grass is greener on the other side. So they're gonna be keeping an eye on all those other people, I would think,
See, logistically though, a stage 1 camp would be ideal, 3-4 years after the grid goes down and whatnot. But in the very beginning, I don't think that's feasible. I think more of like an armed escort watching this person and evaluating them would be more ideal.
But they're never gonna do anything wrong if you've got a guy following them around. Versus if you've got, say XYZ group of this many people is the people that blend in with the stage 1 people, and they're keeping an eye on it, and you don't even know, like they're,
So like the secret shoppers at Walmart.
Yeah, exactly. They're the welcoming team, and you don't even know it, kind of thing. And they're
But
always
what guy-
keeping an eye on everybody.
How are you going to earn his trust if you got somebody with a gun following him?
That's
Of
what
course
I'm
the
saying.
guy's going to be smooth as silk the whole
That's
time.
what I just said. God, welcome to the party, JD.
So you gotta give them a little bit of freedom so they can prove themselves.
That's why I just said you have like your undercover, welcoming crew kind of thing. Like they don't even know that they're being watched.
Like the plainclothes shoppers at Walmart.
You gotta reiterate things with him. Come on.
Interesting.
Yes, sir.
I would like to give a shout out to the, where is this guy? He was just here in the chat room.
He got talked to death.
Yeah, he needs to type again. The Preparedness Consulting. I hope you're doing well, but I hope you can join us here sometime on the show. And so what is the takeaway from this guy, guys? Is it having holding stage 1 camp? Is it sending them out again on the quest? Or what is the deal? How do you... What would be the proper way to get somebody in?
Holy Grail. That's what it is. Send them on a quest to find golden doubloons.
To find the ring, right?
Yeah, the one ring.
So... All right, let's move on.
Let's move on.
I have another scenario here.
I'm not doing trivia question halfway. You're skipping that, JD. You need to calm down. Trivia question.
I didn't even realize it was already halfway through. Let's do the trivia question.
I'm here to keep you in line, JD.
All right, you guys in the chat room, get your Google fingers ready. It is question time. What are we giving away?
We're giving away a book and a card game, yeah? A book and a card game. So, Google fingers ready. You guys ready? Google fingers ready. The question is, what gun did Clint Eastwood use in the Dirty Harry series of films?
Oh, smack. Repeat that, please.
What gun did Clint Eastwood use in the Dirty Harry series of films? And I know it's kind of disputed, but I'm looking for the generally accepted gun. So, yes. Not pigs, not pickles.
Pickles?
Nice.
What gun did he use in the Dirty Harry movies? And we'll see who actually. Oh,
There we go.
okay.
Oh, there we go. There we
got
go.
it. So he says a bunch of BS and then he says the right one. Yes, it's a Smith & Wesson Model 29. So he wins again.
Congratulations, Salty. So Salty will have decks 1 and deck 2 then.
Yes.
Good enough.
Salty. Send it to Lori. She sent it to me, your address. We sent one out to you. I don't know what happened. I guess you didn't get it, but.
We'll resend your address out.
Yeah.
You know, something weird, guys, about like a month ago, we had about 20 decks suddenly disappear in the mailing system. Gone. Like
The NSA was like, no, we're gonna take those
tracking
away.
tracking number, everything. Nobody knows. It's gone.
That's crazy.
So
About 20 of them.
has been designated as a terrorist group.
No, the postmen are all playing.
The postmen are
That was
playing.
like,
They're sitting
where
at their
did it-
post stations playing.
we went there with the tracking numbers. We're like, oh, don't know where it is. I guess it's lost.
You can't do it USPS. That's half the battle. They just don't care. Alright.
Well-
So we're moving on now?
Yes.
So,
Do you want to do one of Chris's scenarios?
Yeah. I've been saving this one for a while because it's kind of sad. So I want to
Well,
do it.
guys, just so you all know, the first two scenarios were from the Deck 2 Conflicted. This is from Chris. So
This
don't go
is from
look for the scenario.
Chris. So
Because you're not going to find it.
yeah. So put the little asterisk there, not part of the game. Okay. So my scenario is you're traveling in an old vehicle or did I do this? No, I don't think so. You're traveling in an old vehicle when suddenly a band of marauders strikes out and surrounds your vehicle. Yeah, it's that intense. They open fire on the vehicle as you jump out to defend your wife and 2 children inside. As the car takes incoming rounds, a fire starts. Gas is leaking from the tank. Realizing you only have seconds to save one family member from the increasing burnout, which family member do you save? So you either need to save your wife or one of your 2 children. Everyone else is gonna burn. That's the scenario.
It's a little morbid.
I know. I said I haven't saved in a while. It's pretty rough. Alika, you have a wife. Pretend you have 2 children. Who are you saving?
Oh man. I guess whoever would be the closest to me, I would try and
It's a proximity thing?
yeah, you really don't leave any wiggle room here, man.
No. 2 people are burning to death. Which 2?
I guess. Family wise, I would definitely save whoever was close to me and try and go in and save another one, even if that means me perishing in the process. Because I honestly couldn't just pull one of my family members out and.
No. So it's gonna be like this. You're gonna pull one out and it's just gonna boom and they're done.
I guess whoever would be the closest to me, if it was the wife or my imaginary kids or the puppy, I don't know. It would have to be whoever.
Save the hermit crab in the back.
But you're pulling them out to a bunch of marauders anyways. Why don't I just jump in and go out with them?
Oh, there you go.
Or put it in drive really fast way. And
But the car's on fire. You're gonna
where's
burn.
the car on fire at? Is it in the front? Is it in the back? You might have some time there to drive
It's your
away from
car
there.
on fire,
You
isn't
guys are
it?
getting way too specific.
If it's an old Impala, you might be able to get away for a while.
Yeah, why didn't you just
Thank
run
you.
over the marauders?
What, Jeff?
Because
Why didn't you just run over the marauders?
Here.
okay. See, so now we're getting
Drive
so-
the ball
Okay,
of fire
alright.
into the
Well,
marauders.
Let me
well,
back
first,
up.
I don't see how this scenario actually leads anyone to preparedness and survival. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's like that. Okay, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's, come on. I mean, everyone dies. You got to save one. But really? Really?
It's always the same boring stuff, so I gotta shake it up every once in a while. Alright, so the purpose of it is how do you not get attacked by a band of marauders and have everyone die in a car fire? Explain to us how that works. Come on, you're the one that shot it down. Come on.
One, I would just, if you have marauders coming up, I'd just run them over and keep going. Why were you stopping?
What if they throw a roadblock?
Why would you stop and allow people on foot to surround your
they
car?
throw a roadblock in front of you, so you can't get by.
Well, he's not driving a Prius. If he's got an Impala, he can just run over him.
What if he was driving a Prius? What if that was his only family vehicle?
I cannot see him driving a Prius.
That's not gonna.
No, okay, they roadblock you, so now what do?
I put it in reverse and then head back. If I see a roadblock ahead of me, I head back.
Okay. What if they roadblock behind you? What if you're boxed in now and your car is on fire?
Well, what does the roadblock look like? Maybe I ram the roadblock with my Yukon.
Oh, it's a Yukon. See, he's got to go in there and throw the big vehicle in there.
I think
that's what I have.
I think we should drive really fast, open all the doors, throw everyone out, and just let the car run into the marauders.
Tuck and roll.
All right. Hey, and then Chris, which person in your family would you save then?
Move to the next question.
We've got to hear Chris's answer.
Yeah, Chris came up with it. Let's hear it.
Is your wife listening?
No, she's not.
Yeah, make sure your wife is listening, Chris.
Yeah,
I was probably going to say the one that could reproduce. But that's horrible. That's horrible.
But Laura did make a good point, so you save them so then they can just be raped by the marauders.
This is true.
It's kind of a no-win situation.
It is. Hey, that's me coming in with the hard questions, okay? Do you save, who do you save to be raped by the marauders? Oh man, that's rough. Alright, moving on. Oh, that's funny. Okay, I have another one here that's less rapey and, burning family members. So, it doesn't involve fire though. So.
Less rapey.
Less rapey, yeah. Alright, so you're prepared for the end of the world scenario that destroyed civilization by creating an underground bunker in the backyard, right? Okay, so you have supplies, food, water, ammunition, you've got it all, right? So weeks into the disaster, you're living in your little bunker, you're nice and comfy, and a fire breaks out in your bunker. And I'm not going to go into details of why, because you guys are anal retentive, but fire in your bunker, and you have to escape. So there's an escape tunnel, and you have to get out, but you can only grab, whatever you can pick up in your hands and run out of your bunker with, and leave everything else to burn, because it's that fast of a moving fire. So my point is what would you grab from your bunker, first of all? And then what could you do to either, rebuild it or, where do you go from there kind of thing? And then what steps could you take to prevent that in the first place so you don't lose your bunker? Whoever wants to go first on that one.
Well, what I would take, I'll take my firearms.
Okay.
And that'll be my first choice, firearms. And because with that, you can do your security, not full security, but you can be more secure than you would be if you had no firearms. So you got to grab that and water.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to hold one thing in each hand. That's what it would be.
Okay. Now, after, the flames have settled and your bunkers are ruined, where do you go from there? Do you try and rebuild it? Do you try and do something new? Do you move? What do you do?
Well, if I had a bunker and it would be in a place with a lot of sustainable, a sustainable environment, like meaning trees, maybe some fruit trees. I would plant that. Pond. So I would stick around and maybe build a little long-term tent of some kind. Mm-hmm. But I would, if it's my bug out spot and if I have a bunker there, and if I had enough money to put a bunker, I definitely have fruit trees and fish in a pond and everything else.
Oh, so permaculture.
Mm-hmm.
I think having food, bought food and stuff that's long term is great, but sooner or later that's going to get eaten. And you got to have a sustainable circle that will provide you with unlimited food, because you're going to run out sooner or later.
Okay, so now what would you do to prevent the fire in the first place?
Maybe not light any fires inside the bunker. No candles.
No, maybe it's like an electric fire or something, like your generator.
Your bong blew up.
Yeah, your bong exploded. Caught your ammo box on fire.
Have a fire extinguisher.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe have more than one.
Okay. Do people think of that when they put their bunker in their backyard? You would hope, right? So there you go. Learn something. Somebody said, or Salty said, have a fire prevention plan. So yeah, have some kind of fire suppression system. Yeah, I didn't see a guy that said that. Well, Alika, what would you do? You're a pretty survival guy. What would you grab and what would you do afterwards?
You are a pretty survival guy, he said.
Well, with the bunker, I'd always assume that people would be trying to get into my bunker, and if I would have to make a quick egress, I'd always have a few bug out bags, I guess, if you want to call it that. Mm-hmm. But my main thing that would be packed with it would be fire and defense. With fire, you can pretty much take care of everything else, disinfecting water and cooking your food and whatnot. But if I did see a fire, I'd be grabbing my bags and getting the hell out of there. As far as fire suppression, I mean, fire extinguishers work, but they only stay charged for so long before they start losing pressure. So I guess I would have some non-potable water to try and fight the fire and some fire blankets to try and save the bunker first before I just say screw and let the sucker burn and take off. I mean, that's really all you can do in a situation like that.
Good answers. Okay, Lori, what would you do?
Well, first, I would not have all of my supplies in one bunker to begin with. I think if you have property to if you can afford an underground bunker, because by the way, this is not Doomsday Preppers. If you could afford to put one of those in, you can also afford to put multiple stashes in 55-gallon drums around your property. So that way if something does happen, you have your backups. I think first thing, I'm always packed with a bug out bag, get home bag, whatever you want to call it. So it's always packed and ready to go. Everyone in our family has one. We have multiples. We have them in the cars already. So it has the basic needs, supplies to be able to survive, for any length of time. Could you close the thing off? I'm assuming it's either made out of concrete or metal of some type. So if you lock the oxygen out of it to not feed the fire, it could, put itself out.
How many people have bunker things that are so airtight that air can't even get in, though?
You'd be surprised because they don't want chemicals in them, so they can be self-sufficient. Yeah. They can be self-sufficient. And then have the knowledge, like JD said, if your property is set up, if I had a property set up perfectly, it would have permaculture implemented into it, so it's self-sufficient. You'd have your fruit trees, your nut trees. It would be built not so your garden wouldn't look like a regular garden. Your vegetables would be spread out so they look like, to somebody that doesn't know, it would look like weeds or landscaping. So you could live there, and be able to replicate your food.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
G. Michael.
Some of that,
Yeah.
and you have some chickens and some rabbits.
Yeah.
Rock and roll forever.
Yeah.
Goats.
Well,
All
Chris, I don't mean to blow your scenario up here, but
Go for it, man.
if you can go outside the bunker and still survive with all this chickens and goats and fruit trees and stuff, why are you even in the bunker?
In the first place.
Yeah.
That wasn't my scenario. That was their answers, okay?
I mean, if you're coming outside the bunker,
When I wrote
you
the
can already
scenario, I
survive
didn't
outside the
think of
bunker.
having
What are you doing in there?
Well, maybe you weren't in the bunker and your house burned down because you're
Well, that's not what the
you're
scenario is.
kleptoman. But now you're in the bunker living because your house burned down.
Yeah. When I wrote the scenario, I was thinking in the bunker eating MREs, not in the bunker with an apple orchard on top of it.
You didn't clarify that.
Well, according to
My
JD
brain
and Lori,
doesn't
they've
think
got
like
Back up,
an
steer
orchard
back
and
up.
like cattle running and
Back
Yeah.
up, steer
Yeah, I
back
got 12 head of cattle up there. Don't worry about it.
Got a
Like
Walmart right down the street.
orchard on top.
Yeah. When I was writing that, I wasn't
Smirks in
thinking,
a 12-by-6 bunker.
I
yeah,
have my waterbed in the bunker. What are you talking about?
yeah. Rotating heart.
No, so if there was a fire, I would in the bunker obviously get out of there. Firearms are important. Water is obviously critical to take with me. Obviously, fire suppression should be part of any fire prevention plan when you have any kind of underground facility. Period. So you should have different ways of putting one out. Obviously, you should never, shouldn't have fuel or anything like that down there. But obviously anything can happen. So, but yeah, I would, what Lori said is what everyone should have anywhere on their property. It's little caches of different stuff buried somewhere. So if you were in a bunker and you did have to get out of there, you can just go and grab, uncover that and move on.
Firearms, just pack them in grease, throw them in some tubing or vacuum seal them and then drop them in there. In pieces and parts, not in holes.
In pieces and parts. What do you mean?
Take your firearm.
Tear them down?
Yeah, tear your firearm apart, pack the pieces in grease, to make
And
stuff
then
for that.
Clean them feverishly when you pull them out of the hole?
Oh, it's the same stuff sometimes that you just clean them with anyways.
Yeah.
Throw them in a vacuum sealer and suck the oxygen out of them. And,
You're not
throw
talking
'em-
like grease. You're talking like lube.
yeah, lube.
Lube. Okay, gotcha. Cool. Anybody else have any insight on that?
But you bring up a good point though, how many people out there, into preparedness and looking at what's coming up have all their eggs in one basket?
Well, that was the whole purpose of that, is you go and you spend all that time preparing your little shelter, or preparing your little bunker or whatever, but what happens if you lose that? What happens if that's gone in a fire? What happens if, somebody takes that or whatever, if you go and put, like you just said, if you put all your eggs in one basket and you lose that, are you screwed? Or do you have plan B, C, D, and E, So that was the whole purpose of that question.
But something that's interesting. I'm sure everyone here that's playing and listening probably watched the last or the first episode of The Walking Dead. And one thing that struck me was how they had this. They had the prison, they had everything there. They were growing a garden, they had food and things like that. And now here they are all by themselves with just 2 pistols and nothing else. That's you can have plan A through Z and caches everywhere, but you have to prepare that you may not have access to any of that eventually. You can lose every single thing you have. Mm-hmm. And then I think it comes down to having the ability and the will to live.
So, G. Michael, what is your first 2 most important preps?
Firearms you gotta have firearms, period, and ammunition. And that's the pinnacle of everything. You can defend yourself. I mean, you gotta have it, and you water. You can go for a while without eating. You can't go for too long without water.
Alika, what are your top 2 preps?
It would have to be water and
fire, and then right after that would be ammo. You could always take down anything with something besides a firearm and ammo, but if you don't have water or fire, you might as well just lay down and die.
JD, what are your top two?
I'll have to say firearms and water. Because you can defend, like Jeff said, you can defend yourself, you can hunt, you can kill two birds with one stone. Fire would be the third, for warmth, for cooking. So those are my top two.
Chris?
I always take, no matter where I'm going out on outing, is firearms and a big knife of some sort. Just because a big knife to me, is invaluable. You can cut things, you can cut down trees, you can start fires, you can do whatever you need to. So,
So you'd pick a knife or a firearm, if you had to choose?
If I had to choose, like if they were like, you're gonna take your gun or gonna take your knife, that's rough. But yeah, I think the knife is more useful because, like I said, you can start fires, you can cut down trees, you can cut firewood, you can, cut meat, you can skin things, you can hunt with it, you can defend yourself. So, yeah. What about you, Lori? What are your two top preps?
My two top preps, and G. Michael touched on it. First, you have to have the will to live. If you don't have that, you're screwed anyways. It doesn't matter what preps you have. If you don't want to live,
you can't put that in a bag, though.
You don't. Well, that goes into the second part of it.
Okay.
My second part of that would be the knowledge, because I don't care if I find a firearm. If I don't know how to use it, it's useless to me. I can't carry enough water to help me survive.
Sorry, my wife said something about lip gloss. That was what she always takes with her.
I do have a fetish for chapstick.
I always take my favorite lip gloss with her.
I'm partial to my chapstick, but I also know how to make some of it too. So if I have to, I can.
Hey, Chris, did you let her know that she was going to be raped by marauders?
No, I didn't let her know.
Okay.
She might want to doll herself up.
Yeah, exactly. She'll need the lip gloss, obviously.
She's like, what? I'll tell you afterwards.
But yeah, in my opinion, if you don't have the will to live or the knowledge to use any of the preps you have to begin with, because we have a lot of couch preppers out there that think it's cool to buy stuff and then not use it.
Mm-hmm. Or not even know how to use it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like the mall ninjas,
Yeah. I've got this cool fire starter, and then they go like me, for instance. Took me 15 minutes to realize how to use the damn thing when I actually tried to use it. I got it down now, though. It's on my knife.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. But big shout out to everybody in the chat room tonight. No salty porn is not part of the top two preps. So you can keep your dirty magazines at home.
Hey, what do you
It's a good fire starter.
Oh, yeah, it is a good fire starter.
In your pants.
Who invited him?
That's funny.
Best quote of the night.
I know. Banana.
So what do you guys have cut? I can't even talk now. What do you guys have coming up that in your future with your respectable jobs that you want to talk about? I know two of you have something going on together that you might want to talk about, JD and G. Michael.
I wonder what Eddie's doing to Laurie right
Don't
now.
you worry about it.
Can't stop giggling.
Anyways.
Anyways.
Do with a banana?
I said code word, not literal.
The banana. I was,
That was-
phallic.
That was so
You
last
missed that
week.
because your internet ran out last week.
Yeah, that was an inside joke. That's Chris and Alika's safe word is banana.
But hurry before we run out of
Are
time.
you surprised? Really?
Well, I'm very excited and proud to announce that we are going to create a conflicted card game based on G. Michael Hopp's books. And we're very, very pleased. I think it's really going to impress people because if you read his books, you will see human nature in action there. And through the card game, you'll be able to get involved and dive deep into some of these scenarios, experience them, and kind of put yourself in the character's shoes and discuss that with your group. So I'm very pumped and excited about it. I'm glad G. Michael agreed to it, and we already got started on it. So
Now, when do we anticipate that coming out?
it's going to be May.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's-
May 27th will be the release of the New World Series Conflicted deck.
Awesome. And that follows, when is your book coming out?
Same day. Yeah.
Awesome. So they can get a 2-pack.
They can get a 2-pack.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And it's going to be awesome.
Sounds good.
That sounds exciting. I've read all of his books, and I already have pre-ordered the other one, so I should be able to have a room at your house when I want to come on vacation. But anyways,
I paid for it.
yeah, exactly. I'm excited to see how this is going to work out because your books are excellent and throw worthy and all of that. So I've been anticipating book 3 for a while now because I want to see what happens. Not really because it worries me because I know how messed up in the head you are.
Yeah, I can tell you no one is safe.
That's not right. There's gonna be somebody in your books that's safe.
Yeah,
Gordon?
but there's also
No one's safe.
those might be new characters.
They're safe until the next one, right?
Exactly. No one is safe.
Exactly. See, I know where he comes from. I do the same thing.
But you would think Gordon, since he's the main character, would be.
No, see, that's the thing is don't ever even make your main character safe. You gotta go like a Game of Thrones thing. No one is safe.
Gotcha. Now, Chris, you're releasing your book again, aren't you?
Yeah, it's gonna be different everything, but we'll talk about that later.